So, here's the story everyone avoids but secretly knows. Meghan Markle's life? It all looks perfect, doesn't it? The designer clothes, private jets, that shining Montecito mansion, and magazine covers showing her as modern royalty. But when you start looking deeper into the money side, things begin to look strange. The numbers don't really add up. On paper, Meghan's income doesn't match her lifestyle. Netflix is silent, Spotify is gone, and brand deals are fading faster than last year's fashion. Yet somehow her luxury life hasn't slowed down at all. It's like someone keeps filling the tank quietly behind the scenes. People close to her mention one strange phrase: funding continuity. Sounds elegant, right? But it's just a polite way of saying someone's still paying the bills in secret. Not for love, not for kindness, but for access. And that, my friends, is where the real story starts. Not with romance or fairy tales, but with money. Cold, planned, and strategic money. Because when you remove the royal titles, charity speeches, and PR shine, you see a woman living a billionaire lifestyle without billionaire earnings. That alone says a lot about who Meghan Markle really is. The crown gave her fame, but the fortune? Oh, that came from somewhere else entirely. When Meghan first joined the royal world, she thought she was stepping into endless wealth, castles, tiaras, and royal allowances flowing like champagne. But what she found was very different. Prince Harry, kind and genuine, wasn't rich by royal standards. His money came mostly from Princess Diana's inheritance and small military pay. The palaces belonged to the crown, not Harry. The jewels and estates are owned by the institution, not the man. And when Meghan saw this early on, it must have felt like a shock. The golden ticket she thought she'd won wasn't a treasure chest. It was a system where she had little control. And Meghan Markle has never been the type to stay in the background. She was made for the spotlight, not to hide behind it. The cracks in her fairy tale showed up fast. The charm of royal duty faded quickly because in palace life, being royal didn't mean being rich. It meant being restricted. And limits were never part of Meghan's nature. That's when her focus shifted from being a princess to being a planner. If the palace couldn't give her the freedom she wanted, she'd find it somewhere else. Meghan didn't just marry a prince for the crown's love. She married a man she could turn into opportunity. To see where all the talk began, you have to go back long before Netflix, before Montecito, before Harry, back to the days when Meghan Markle hovered near real power, watching, learning, and taking notes. Because before the cameras, before the titles, there were patterns, trips, dinners, and private meetings where Meghan started moving around some of the most powerful people in the world. And that's where Soho House enters the picture, not just as a club, but as a gateway. Behind that gate stood billionaires, producers, and power players who shaped entire social worlds. Among them was Ron Burkle, billionaire investor, royal friend, and quiet connector. Sources say Burkle later became one of the people who privately flew Meghan to high-end events. These weren't ordinary parties. They were gatherings where connections weren't made. They were bought. And that's where Meghan's first real network formed. Not written down, not public, but hidden behind closed doors. That's where her true funding story begins. Not with royal money, but with private access. When people ask who really supports Meghan Markle's lifestyle, the answer isn't in any single bank account. It's in the people she's tied to. Those early years were her training ground. She wasn't just showing up to events. She was studying power. Every meeting, every name, every dinner was a step in her social rise. It's where she learned that access is the real currency. On those yacht trips across the Mediterranean, in those private rooms where investors and influencers mixed, Meghan wasn't the star yet. But she was always there, close enough to the money to count. By the time she met Harry, Meghan had already perfected the skill of always being included. She wasn't chasing royal riches. She was securing lifelong entry. Because once you're in those circles, the doors never fully close. And that's why today's financial mystery doesn't sound like a theory. It sounds like a continuation. The same system that lifted her back, then never stopped working. And quiet connector. Sources say Markle later became one of the people who privately flew Meghan to high-end events. These weren't ordinary parties. They were gatherings where connections weren't made. They were bought. And that's where Meghan's first real network formed. Not written down, not public, but hidden behind closed doors. That's where her true funding story begins. Not with royal money, but with private access. When people ask who really supports Meghan Markle's lifestyle, the answer isn't in any single bank account. It's in the people she's tied to. Those early years were her training ground. She wasn't just showing up to events. She was studying power. Every meeting, every name, every dinner was a step in her social rise. It's where she learned that access is the real currency. On those yacht trips across the Mediterranean, people like Meghan don't just wander into billionaire circles. They're invited and sponsored into them. Every private jet, every luxury trip, every exclusive photo shoot, none of it came free. But the ones who paid for it were powerful enough to never need credit. That's what makes Meghan's story both fascinating and complicated. Fast forward to today, Meghan Markle presents herself as the independent duchess, the woman who left the royal family to build her own empire. But behind the scenes, the numbers still don't match. Netflix made noise once, then went silent. Spotify, a $20 million deal, disappeared overnight. Her lifestyle brand quietly struggles, and yet nothing about her life seems to change. The jets still fly, the wardrobe still shines, the Montecito estate still sparkles. That's what started the whispers. Because when the business slows but the luxury doesn't, people stop asking how she earns and start asking who keeps it all going. One insider said it best. Everything looks self-made until you notice the hands behind the curtain. Every empire has investors. Every image has a cost. And Meghan's world, from yachts in the past to estates in the present, has always been supported by unseen sponsors. It's not charity, it's strategy. Keeping her visible keeps the network alive. It keeps her valuable. She's a bridge between Hollywood, royalty, activism, and influence. And bridges like that are too profitable to ever let fall. But there's a price to it all. When your lifestyle depends on benefactors, your freedom depends on their approval. You can't turn against the hand that funds your image. So, while people argue about whether Meghan Markle is still profitable, the truth is much simpler. Profit was never the goal. Survival was. Her success isn't about topping charts or sealing huge deals. It's about never falling far enough to lose her place at the table. And as long as that seat stays paid for, the illusion continues. The brand deals may fade, the headlines may quiet down, but the quiet funding keeps flowing, just like it always has. Because in the world Meghan Markle built, power isn't about titles, money, or fame. It's about who keeps your name alive when everyone else has moved on.